Welcome back, everyone, to 12 News at 4. We are giving you a live look right now from Sky 12. You can see that thick smoke and like heavy haze. That is dust that you are seeing right here. Dust that's been generated from a storm southeast of the valley, and it's moving now towards downtown Phoenix, as you see right here, moving towards the west. I want to bring in meteorologist Lindsay Riley. Lindsay, you were talking about this about a half hour ago, and it has really moved in throughout the valley.
Yeah, I mean, this started out across the far southeastern valley, and it has pushed all the way through the East Valley, now into downtown, and it's moving to the West Valley. We have a dust advisory for the areas in tan here. Location right now is over South Mountain, downtown Phoenix, and extending back toward Falcon Field. It is moving toward the northwest at 20 miles per hour. I can tell you that that is slow. A lot of times these walls of dust will move anywhere from 40 to 50 miles per hour. So once it arrives in your neighborhood, it's going to stick around because it's slow moving. It is going to be pushing along I-10 out in the West Valley, moving toward Tolleson and Avondale. So a heads up, this dust advisory has been extended through 5:15. So we have about 30 more minutes of this dust moving toward the West Valley, toward Avondale, along I-10, even Grand Avenue. We will be seeing reduced visibilities. And whenever you have an advisory, it is a little bit, it's one step above a warning. So not as bad as when you have a warning, but our visibility still under 1 mile. Gusty winds within this dust and limited visibility. It's pretty rare that we see this, especially during the month of February. Usually we have dust storm warnings during the monsoon season, especially early on. I want to show you the rain because the way this dust actually came up is from these thunderstorms south and east of the valley. What happens when a thunderstorm dies is it puts out an outflow boundary and it lofts up that dust. So first comes the dust, then comes the rain. But as you can see here, that rain is actually starting to move further south and further away from the valley. So where we did have a few raindrops earlier, Gilbert, Sun Lake, Santan Valley, Queen Creek, and even Apache Junction, rain is ending now, and this is retreating back into Pinal County. Here's the big picture. We had a lot of cloud to ground lightning across the lower deserts about 30 to 45 minutes ago, and it's actually losing intensity. You can see Sky 12 on the box there on your screen, and you can see the reduced visibility. That's the dust. That's moving toward Avondale, Tolleson, parts of the West Valley. So the I-10 is going to be tricky west of downtown through about 5:15. Grand Avenue also going to be tough. And this could extend all the way out to the 101 interchange and even the 303. So again, it's moving west at about 20 miles per hour, slow moving wall of dust that you can see there on Sky 12. We're not likely going to see rain behind this, but we are tracking that reduced visibility and the rain starting to retreat. So Tram, you can see this dust, pretty unusual for this time of year, but things should start to improve after 5:15, Tram.
Yeah, let's hope so, because right now it is rush hour traffic. So you know those freeways are jammed. There's a lot of people out on the roads right now. It is so dangerous of all times for that dust storm to happen right now. And I think it's really interesting, Lindsay, because this is something that we normally see during the monsoon season. It is not something that we see during February, during our winter storm season.
During our winter storm season, yes, definitely unusual, but what caused the dust storm to happen is actually the same mechanism as how we would see these dust storms form during the monsoon season. You have some thunderstorms that may be losing that intensity, that outflow boundary, that downdraft happens out ahead of the storm where it hasn't rained yet, where the ground is still dry, and it lofts that dust up. So it was the perfect scenario to kind of assimilate what you would see during a monsoon season, monsoon storms. Even though this is not monsoon related, similar pattern as far as dying thunderstorms over the lower deserts, lofting that dust in the air. And that's exactly what we saw tonight. And that dust originated out toward the Superstition Springs Mall, Chandler Fashion Square Mall, and then it moved toward the downtown area, Ahwatukee, and now it's headed toward the West Valley. And we will see those reduced visibilities till about 5:15. So heads up on I-10 out in the West Valley, west of downtown. downtown, Grand Avenue, up toward the Glendale area. Those are going to be where we see those reduced visibilities for about another 25 minutes, and then things should start to improve after that, Tram.
And when you talk about reduced visibility, Lindsay, here's what I'm wondering, because we all know that in a dust storm, and we're giving you another live look here from our downtown camera up at 200 East Van Buren of how it's moving into the valley. But again, when you're talking about the visibility, there's a lot of traffic out there. It is rush hour. We always encourage drivers, if you cannot see, you want to pull to the side of the road and turn off your lights. That is the safest thing that people need to know. But you know, you mentioned earlier that this is a very slow moving dust storm. We're talking 20 miles an hour. I'm wondering, you know, does that mean that it's heavier and it's lingering longer? Is that more dangerous than if it were to be, you know, the wind gusts were to be more strong?
Well, here's the thing. This is an actual dust advisory, not a dust storm warning. It has been downgraded for the West Valley. So what that means is instead of the visibility being under a quarter of a mile, which happens with dust storm warnings, with this, the visibility is about a mile or slightly less. So the visibility right now, even though it's slow moving, it is not as bad as what you would see with a dust storm warning. So yes, it's definitely something you want to be careful with. But as Tram was mentioning before, if you are caught in a dust storm, you want to pull off the road and you do not want to keep your foot on the brake. You do not want your tail lights on, because then the traffic behind you might think you're actually on the road and run into the back of you. You're safer just turning off your vehicle and keeping the car off entirely on the side of the road. So that's how you handle a situation like this. But again, should improve over the next 25 minutes. You can, as you can see here, this is not zero visibility that we're seeing. And wind gusts are in the 20 to 30 mile per hour range. So it is slow moving, but I would say this is a slightly safer scenario than when we have a dust storm warning, because with a dust storm warning, your visibility is under a quarter of a mile and you may have 50 mile per hour wind gusts, versus this scenario where your visibility is slightly less than 1 mile and your your wind gusts are about 20 to 30 miles per hour. So this is slightly safer, even though it's not ideal, especially going right into the 5 o'clock hour and lots of folks on the road out there, Tram.
Yeah, and in the past, you know, again, we compare it to the monsoon season where it is like a wall of dust moving and taking over the valley. This one, it looks like, you know, it's almost like fog. You know, it's a little bit more dissipated, not as thick and heavy. You can still see through all of that dust. But again, we're showing you just different looks throughout the valley with our different cameras stationed all throughout the area. At 4:53, a lot of people still driving home from work. You may want to consider, you know, staying at the office a little bit later if you can, just to avoid all the heavy congestion along with this dust storm. Lindsay, here's what I'm wondering though, you know, we've had our winter storms before. We've had storm after storm recently, obviously a lot of it coming from the west. But how is this one different, and why is it kicking up so much dust?
Well, good question. The precipitation actually originated over southeastern Arizona, so it was down near the Tucson area. And how that is similar to the monsoon season when we do see dust storms is a lot of those thunderstorms may originate down around Tucson or parts of Pinal County during the monsoon, lifting to the northwest, so moving toward Phoenix, and as they do, they loft that dust up. Well, if we show you the big picture here, if we come to our radar graphics, I can show you exactly the setup of what we're seeing. You can see the location of these showers and thunderstorms over southeastern Arizona, Tucson area, Pinal County, and as they're dying down, they aren't as intense as they were about an hour ago. That is what's lofting up the dust. So even though this is not a monsoon pattern, it is a completely separate entity. It's a storm system impacting our weather. The setup and the location of the thunderstorms are similar to when we would actually see some dust storms in the valley during a typical monsoon season, Tram.